Welcome everyone in today's video. Yesterday you were watching video how to find a factor of a term. Today we will move on. We will add a few more steps to follow. Okay, so let's look at this question. We have x multiplied by x plus 4 and here equals x squared, so we need to multiply x by a bracket. Okay, so that's nothing new, you've met it before, and you exactly know how to work out the brackets. Okay, so we have x multiplied by x plus 4 and this is x squared plus x 4x. Okay, and this operation is called expanding. Okay, so you had to expand it. So if you have this form, you need to expand it to get this form. Okay, today we will be working backwards. Okay, so we will have this form and we'll try to get this form. Okay, so we will try to get a number and a bracket. Okay, so the opposite way, and this is called factorization. Okay, so this is the new keyword. Okay, so from this form you need to factorize to get this form. Okay, and factorizing is the reverse of expanding. Okay, so this is the new keyword. Take it down into your copy. Okay, so let's start. The first question is factorize. Okay, and we have 3a plus 9 and we need to find a common factor first, and it has to be the highest common factor. Okay, so there will be two steps you need to follow. The same in algebra. If you know all the rules, all the steps, you have all the marks. Okay, so try to follow the steps. So the first step is find the highest common factor. Okay, so we have two terms here. Okay, and we need to find common factor, as we said. So let's start. We have 3a, and 3a, it's 3 multiplied by a, and we have 9, and 9 is 3 multiplied by 9. Okay, so now look at this and tell me, do we have any common factor in here and in here? Okay, so as we can see, 3 is common, so 3 is the highest common factor. Okay, of 3a and 9. So highest common factor is 3, and this is the first step. The first step is done. Okay, the step 2 is to find the bracket and the number in front of the bracket, and the number in front of the bracket, or the term in front of the bracket, is always the highest common factor. Okay, so if we have it, we are in the halfway. So we have 3 in front of the bracket. Okay, and we know that when we multiply 3 by every single term in the bracket, we need to get our 3a plus 9. Okay, so what goes into a bracket, and then when we multiply it by 3, we will get 3a plus 9. Okay, so this is the same step what we did yesterday in yesterday's video. Okay, so now we have one factor given of the term and we need to find another factor. Okay, so now we have 3a, so we can do method 1 or method 2. So 3a divided by 3 gives you a, so this is a straight in here, and then we have 9 divided by 3, it's 3, it's positive 3, so plus 3. Okay, so the same, 3 multiplied by what gives you 3a, so 3 multiplied by a gives you 3a, and then 3 multiplied by what gives you 9. If you have two terms in here, you need to have two terms in the bracket as well. Okay, so 3 by a is 3a and 3 by 3 is 9. Done. Take it down into your copy, please, and we'll go to the next question. Okay, so this time we have 4x squared minus 16x, and the same we need to factorize. So we need to find a number and a bracket. okay? And we need to follow 2 steps. First step is find the highest common factor of these 2 terms. When we have the highest common factor, we can put it in front of the bracket, and then we need to figure out what goes into a bracket, okay? So let's start with the step number 1. Highest common factor, okay? So we have 4x squared, so we can write it down as 4 multiplied by x and multiplied by x. So we have 4x and x, okay? All multiplication. And the next one is minus 16x. So we can write it down as minus 4 multiplied by 4 and multiplied by x. Okay? So now we need to look at these factors, and we need to find the highest common factor, okay? So this is the same as this one, and this is the same as this one. So it might be just a letter, or might be just a number, or we can have a term as a factor, okay? So in here we have 4x as a highest common factor, okay? So highest common factor is 4x. Very good. So the first step is done. Now we can go to the next step. Okay, so we can place it in front of the bracket. We need to just figure out what the bracket is, okay? And we know that this equals 4x squared minus 16x. Okay, so the same. 4x squared, we can write it down as 4xx divided by 4x. Okay, so we have this, and we need to divide it by this to get this. Okay, so 4 divided by 4, that's it, x. So what's left behind? Okay, we have just x. So x is the answer for the first one, and it goes straight in here. And the same, 4x multiplied by x is 4x squared, okay? So every single time we need to just ask a question, what we are leaving behind, okay? What's left behind? And the next one, we have minus 16x divided by 4x. So we don't have x's anymore. And minus 16 divided by 4. Negative divided by positive is negative. 16 by 4, 4. And minus 4 goes straight into the bracket. Minus 4. Okay, and we can check it out. So 4x multiplied by minus 4, it's minus 16x. Done. And this is our second step, okay? So factorization is done. That's what we need to have, okay? A number and a bracket. When you multiply it, we'll get our expression. Okay, and here we have a to the power of 3 minus 3a squared. So the same, step number 1. We need to find the highest common factor, okay? So we have 2 terms. This is one term, this is the other one, and we need to find the highest common factor. So a to the power of 3 is a multiplied by a multiplied by a. And the second term is minus 3a squared. So we have minus 3 multiplied by a multiplied by a. And these are all the factors, okay? Now we need to look at them. Do we have any common factors? And what's more, we need to find the highest common factor, okay? So we have a common and we have another a common, okay? So how many a's do we have? We have a multiplied by a. It's not 2a, okay? You need to remember that. It's not 2a, it's a multiplied by a. What is a squared? So we have a by a, and this is a squared, not 2a, okay? So we have the highest common factor. What is a squared? If you have it, you can go to the second step straight away. So we need to write down a squared in front of the bracket, and then we need to work out the bracket. What's in the bracket? And when we multiply this factor by a bracket, we need to get a to the power of 3 minus 3a squared, okay? So the first method say a squared multiplied by what gives you a to the power of 3, and a squared multiplied by what gives you minus 3a, and you need to figure it out. Or you can do the second method, this division, what is simpler. So you need to divide a to the power of 3 divided by a factor, what is a squared. The factor always goes in front of the bracket, okay? And you can write it down as a divided by a multiplied by a, okay? You can leave it as it is, or you can write down the brackets. Okay, so we can cross it off. What's left? Only a, and a goes straight into a bracket. This is the first term, and the next one, so minus 3a squared divided by a squared, and also we can write it down as minus 3a divided by a. So we can cross it off. What's left? Minus 3, and minus 3 goes straight into the bracket, and this is the second term, okay? And then we can check it. So a squared multiplied by a to the power of 3, a squared multiplied by minus 3, minus 3a squared, okay? Okay, and this is the last question in here today. So the same, we need to follow 2 steps. Okay, so let's start with step 1, highest common factor. Okay, so we have 2 terms in here, and we need to find the factors. So 2ab squared is 2 multiplied by a multiplied by b and multiplied by b, okay? This is b squared. And then the next one, 6ab, is 6 multiplied by a multiplied by b. Okay, and now, do we have any common factors? So we have a in common, we have b in common, and now 6, we can also write down 6 as 2 multiplied by 3. So this is the next factor. So the highest common factor is 2ab. Okay? You need to find the factors of numbers as well, okay? If we have it, we can go straight to the step number 2. So let's write down 2ab in front of the bracket, and this equals 2ab squared plus 6ab. Okay, now let's divide it. 2ab squared, so that's bb, divided by 2ab. Okay, so 2, we can cross it off, a and b. What's left? Just one b. So the answer for the first term is b, and we can straight place it in the bracket. And the next one, 6ab divided by 2ab. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. A, cross it and cross it out. So 3, this is the answer for the next one, is positive 3. So we cannot just write down 3. We need to write down the operation, okay? If that's positive 3, we can just write down simple plus 3. And then we can check it. 2ab multiplied by b is 2ab squared, and 2ab multiplied by 3, 6ab. Okay? So make sure you follow these 2 steps all the time. So take down this question as well, and we can go to the learning check. So quick recap. After today's video, you need to be able to factorize, okay? factorize the expression, okay? So you need to follow 2 steps. The first one is find the highest common factor, okay, of 2 terms. And step 2 is to put the highest common factor in front of the bracket and work out the bracket, what goes into a bracket, okay? So for your homework, try to factorize fully these 3 simple questions, okay? So see you tomorrow.